The ruling alliance of 5 parties has agonizingly fallen short of a majority in the new parliament to lead the government. The alliance has garnered 136 seats against the required 138 in the 275-member strong house. The alliance, meanwhile, is still in the driver's seat to lead the new government by virtue of Nepali Congress being the largest party, while they could garner support from other fringe parties to complete the required 138-member equation. Good morning, I am Prarambha Dahal. Let's begin with the main stories. Vote counting of the proportionate category of the November 20 election concludes as parties expedite effort for formation of the new government. Top brass leaders of political parties continue to remain at the helm despite the call for transfer of power to the second generation. Voices of young leaders remain ignored. Former U.S. President Donald Trump's family real estate company found guilty of tax crimes. The Trump organization convicted on all counts. And Morocco's stun-fancied Spain in penalty shootout. Portugal produced rain of goals against Switzerland. Quarter-final lineup drawn at the FIFA World Cup. Vote counting of the proportionate category of the election of the House of Representatives and Provincial Assemblies has concluded. A total of 10,560,067 legitimate votes were cast in the proportionate category of the election of the House of Representatives. CP and UML, who had finished second in the direct category, have emerged first in the proportionate category with 2,845,641 votes. Meanwhile, Nepali Congress, who finished first in the direct category, finished second in the proportionate with 2,715,225 votes, while CP and Maoist Center are third with 1,175,684 votes. Rashtriya Swatantra Party have finished fourth with 1,130,344 votes, and Rashtriya Prajatantra Party are fifth with 588,849 votes. With 421,313 votes, Janata Samajwadi Party ended 6th. Janamat Party received 394 votes, 655 votes rather, and are 7th in the list of national parties. The transfer of power to the second generation leaders has been a long-standing issue in Nepali politics. A single leader at the helm of both the government and party for a long period of time has been criticized for compromising development, democracy and good governance. Senior leaders of mainstream political parties have secured their spot in the respective parties by holding their general conventions. However, after conclusion of the vote counting of the November 20 elections, new leadership is set to be elected in designations including President, Prime Minister and Chief Ministers. Results of the House of Representatives show that a single party cannot form the government. Even the collaboration of the first and second parties with the third party is not likely to lead to government formation. This has resulted in the heads of the political parties considering several equations. Prime Minister Sherbadu Dewa, also the President of Nepali Congress, has led the government 5 times. KP Sharma Oli, who has led the government twice, has already been appointed the chairperson of CP and UML for 5 years. There is a similar situation in CP and Maoist Center as the party's chair, Pushpakamal Dahal, who has led the government on 2 occasions, is aiming for his 3rd term as the Prime Minister, despite his party's poor showing in the recent election. In such a scenario, efforts for transfer of power from the old generation to the new has not been seen in both mainstream and fringe parties. At the same time, the second generation leaders themselves have not been able to raise their voices, even as debates have initiated in Nepali Congress. In quite a sharp contrast, such initiatives are yet to be witnessed in communist parties. Despite the identification of the need for transfer of generation, the topic has not entered discussions in the top-level committees. Senior leaders have implemented their strategies to secure their tickets and victories in the parliamentary party leader race. This has led to further complications for the younger leaders to intervene and hold top party and government posts. If the top brass leaders genuinely aspire for transformation, time has come for them to open paths for the new and young leadership. It is now time for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion.
Public Pulse.
The question is, why have the top brass leaders not willing to transfer responsibility to the new generation. Your options are A. Affinity for position and power, B. Young leaders lacking maturity, and C. Absence of capable successor. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. Now, talks about formation of the new government and parliamentary proceedings have gained momentum following the conclusion of the vote counting of the November 20 election. Now, political parties have expedited their efforts for formation of the new government. As no party has a clear majority in the House of Representatives, the mainstream political parties have begun their attempts to generate majority in their favor. A process for formation of the government and operation of the House of Representatives begin after submission of report by the Election Commission to the President within 1 week of conclusion of 275 direct and proportionate members of the lower house. According to the Article 93, Clause 1 of the Constitution, the President must call the Parliament session within 30 days of the declaration of final election results. The senior-most member of the House, identified by the Parliament Secretariat, is administered the oath by the President. This senior-most lawmaker then administers the oath of the other parliamentarians. As provisioned by the Article 76, Clause 8 of the Constitution, process for appointment of the Prime Minister must begin within 35 days of the declaration of the final poll results. The Article 76 also includes arrangements for formation of the government. Sub-Article 1 has the arrangement for appointment of the parliamentary party leader of the party with majority as the Prime Minister. In case no party has a majority, the Article 2 provisions for appointment of member of the House with majority support from 2 or more parties as the Premier. A Prime Minister appointed in this manner requires to generate the vote of confidence within 30 days. If a Prime Minister is not elected from the provision of Article 76, Clause 2, the parliamentary party leader of the largest party is given the opportunity to become the Prime Minister under Sub-Article 3. Such a Prime Minister is also required to generate a vote of confidence within 30 days under the Sub-Article 4. If a vote of confidence is not generated, the member of the Parliament who claims of generating the confidence vote is appointed the Prime Minister by the President under Sub-Article 5. Such a Prime Minister will again have to generate the vote of confidence under the provision of Sub-Article 4. Failure to do so will lead to Sub-Article 7, where the President dissolves the House of Representatives and declares a date for the election of the lower house within 6 months. The political parties remain polarized on the appointment of a Prime Minister before the oath of the House members. A CPN-UML chairperson, KP Sharma Oli, was appointed the Prime Minister with the support of UML and Maoist Center before the parliamentarians' oath in 2017. While Nepali Congress had protested the move back then, it remains to be seen if the political parties raise such concerns this time. Now, at a time when efforts are underway for the formation of a new government in Nepal, foreign interests have intensified. Now, with the objective of increasing their influence in Nepal, power centers have increased their meetings with senior political leaders for formation of a government favorable to their aspirations. The meetings being held to congratulate the leaders on their electoral wins have also delved into topics including political equations and new government. Now, while ambassadors, foreign diplomats and politicians are ignoring diplomatic norms by making open suggestions, the political leadership has remained quiet. Now, leader of Bharatiya Janata Party BJP, Jagadambika Pal, arrived in Nepal. He has held talks with senior political leaders including Prime Minister Sher Bahadur Dewa. Nepal had also visited Nepal before the November 20 elections. However, his visit was termed unofficial by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Indian Embassy. Likewise, American Ambassador to Nepal, Dean R. Thompson, and Indian Ambassador Naveen Srivastav have met with Prime Minister Sher Bahadur Dewa, among other top brass leaders, even before the final results of the elections were declared. While the political parties are still engaged in their internal legwork for formation of the new government, the activity of ambassadors have increased. Like the USA and India, China have equal interest in Nepali politics. Now, China's Deputy Minister for Culture and Tourism, Li Chun, had arrived in Nepal when parties were busy in election. In addition to taking stock of the progress of reconstruction after the devastating 2015 earthquake, Chun's 5-day Nepal visit is also speculated to have political objectives. While foreign leaders and diplomats are openly meeting political leaders on Nepal's internal affairs by reaching their residences, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs seems to be unaware of these developments. The government of Nepal has corresponded with India with a diplomatic note for their construction of unauthorized concrete structure that is likely to change the course of flow of the Mahakali River. According to spokesperson of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Sewa Lamsal, the ministry has issued a diplomatic note through the Indian Embassy in Nepal. The diplomatic note has stated that the structure was built without the consent of Nepal and that it had caused damages in the Nepal side. The government has further stated that building structures in the border region requires consensus and collaboration between both the nations. The government of Nepal has also stressed on finding long-term solutions to border-related issues through diplomatic mechanisms. Now, despite India encroaching border areas and building structures without the consent of Nepal, the government and political parties are being criticized for their silence. The government has withdrawn the ban on import of vehicles, mobile phones, liquors and motorcycles, among other items it deems as luxurious. The meeting of the Council of Ministers has withdrawn the ban, which will come into effect from mid of December. The government had imposed a ban on the import of 10 luxurious goods after the National Foreign Reserve had depleted. And despite the lifting of ban on 6 kinds of goods, the prohibition had remained intact on four-wheelers, motorcycles above 150cc engine capacity, foreign liquors and mobile phones worth more than $300. And now, before we wrap up, here's a look into the top stories one more time. Vote counting of the proportionate category of the November 20 election concludes as parties expedite effort for formation of the new government. Top brass leaders of political parties continue to remain at the helm despite the call for transfer of power to the second generation. Voices of young leaders remain ignored. Former U.S. President Donald Trump's family real estate company found guilty of tax crimes. The Trump Organization convicted on all counts. And Morocco stunned fancied Spain in penalty shootout. Portugal produced rain of goals against Switzerland. Quarter-final lineup drawn at the FIFA World Cup. That is all for the moment. Thank you for staying with us. Have a beautiful day ahead.